And welcome to Saturday here at the races. Dave Rodman joining me here for this Christmastide Stakes Day. Thank you for joining us, Dave.
It's going to be a great day of racing. Track fast, sun is out,
Yeah.
and 4 stakes races today, Callie. The Manfuso, the Politely, Carousel, the Bender. Pretty much the fields have remained intact, so everybody wants to run. Lots of action today, and that makes good play for the pick fives early and late as well.
Listen, we've got some fantastic fields full of talent and also just really excellent handicapping races as well that we are just going to dive into right away with this first leg of the early pick five. Of course, industry low 12% takeout here in this maiden claiming 12.5 for the 2-year-olds going a mile here on the dirt. No scratches in this start off. Dave, you go with Balance of Power. Second-time starter for Brittany Russell with, of course, Sheldon Russell on.
I'm diving into this race, and I just keep diving because there's a lot of angles in the spot. I mean, I kind of went for the most logical winner, I think. It's Balance of Power. Finished third in debut, and I thought was a decent effort and simply tired in that race. Loomed up there around the far turn within a couple of lengths of a lead. Not one but two winners out of that race. Urban Symphony came back to power up with a buyer of 60 next start, and another winner also out of the money in the race as well. So two winners. Visually looked like a horse who needed the race. The Holy Boss, they're doing all things right now in Maryland. Going the mile, the stretch out should suit him from the Brittany Russell barn. The one, Flatbed Ford, interesting horse as well. A horse I know that's been on Keith Fustel's watch list for a long time. Yeah. Only been blinkered up the last 4 starts. Finished fourth last time out. Today gets Tori Alba aboard, so a bit of a rider change for the son of Done Talking. That bodes well for a little stretch out from 6 to 7 furlongs to a mile. Also number 8 in here, Lucky Today. Interesting horse. He's worked those mile works for Hugh McMahon in the lead up here in a couple of 5/8, 3 5/8 works as well. A son of Uncle Lino, 17%. With first-time starters, 11% with 2-year-old first-time starters. More importantly, though, is the Dam, a Verrazano mare, Fast Fianola, one first out. So win early there, and we're in a 68 buyer number in doing so. And number 2, Prince Praline, comes to today's race as a first-time gelding, and he's a big price. Didn't do much running in his first few starts. But it is first gelding in here, and I thought, his first race a little bit better than looked. And then the second out behind Urban Symphony. There you go. And Balance of Power in that race that's produced 2 winners.
There we have it. 5-1, 8-2 for Dave Rodman there in the first leg of that early pick 5. And now we go to the first leg of the early pick 4 here in this state-bred allowance here, going a mile and an eighth on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Fantastic race here. Scratch and the rail horse Galatians. Dave, you and I both have the number 6 on top. Whiskey in the Jarro. Let's go ahead and take a look at that win at the state-bred allowance last time out.
Callie, your pick, my pick, and it looks like John Schenkel has this horse going in the right direction here. A nose victory at 17-1. If you remember, I think I was on the show with you today, October 14th on the turf. Like that horse ran third, 80-1 on the turf. That was kind of the turnaround point behind Omni King there. Ever since the layoff from February to October, this guy's really been headed in the right direction. He can do it on the turf. He can do it on the dirt. I think he could win 2 turns, especially on the turf, but he's also adept at getting up for that 1-turn mile. Today, stretching back out to a mile and an eighth on the dirt. I'm going with a Now horse right now. I think you get a square price with him, your top pick as well, for Joanne Schenkel, Whiskey in the Jarro.
Let's talk about Collection Day that you also have for Mikey Gorham, Raul Mena. Mikey Gorham and Raul Mena giving you an $18 and $33 winner last week. So 5-2, very fair price for this one, but consistent at this level.
Yeah, maybe a little sign, a flash of the wake up for the barn, right? Gorham and Mena with back-to-back wins on a day when we had a big pick 6 carryover. The horse is 3 for 9 at Laurel. He's off and on. Sometimes he'll fire, sometimes he doesn't, but he seems like he's leading up to his best rate. So with 3 consecutive a runner-up finishes there. One of them behind Winterfell there, 2 back, right? Winterfell we'll talk about a little later in the card. Who's in the right direction. I know a horse you like, and he's headed out to the Malibu. We'll talk about Winterfell in a later race today. Number 7, Brother Brad. kind of a grinding get-up kind of trip last time out. Beat Hornbeam in 2x2 by a half length. The Maurice Barnes on a roll here the last 45 days with a high win percentage as well. And number 2, War Master is kind of interesting to me. 4th coming off the mile race, 1 turn, going back to 2 turns today. Is he the speed in the race? I think drawing that rail now at Galatians out, they're going to try to go with him and prompt the pace. Perhaps Collection Day, when he's sharp, he can show some early speed as well. Where is the speed in this race except for Sagrada Ray? So maybe he can track Sagrada Ray.
Maybe. I think, I have a feeling. Here's the thing. You go back to that race where he was on the inside post and they took the jump on him early, but that was going 7 furlongs. That wasn't a 2-turn affair. This is a 2-turn affair, and I think that does change the dynamic up a little bit. Obviously, Sagrada Ray is going to go. I think War Master is going to try and do an inside-outside trip, so I don't see them necessarily gunning for it early, but I do see Jamie Rodriguez, Michael Sanchez putting themselves in a very comfortable position, maybe changing things up a little bit on the backside there. I see Collection Day kind of more going with it with Sagrada Ray rather than War Master on the inside, honestly.
Well, last time out, Collection Day, Capcom beat War Master, but he was rated back in that race. Today, let them break. Let Sagrada Ray go, maybe, and let's sit right off of him, like you say. Might be the trip. He's probably not as fast as Sagrada Ray in the opening 1/8 of a mile, maybe 3/16 of a mile, but I think he's a great draw today, and a horse that previously won 3 straight before that defeat behind Hit the Road Jack with Rating Tactic.
6-5-7-2 there for the opener of the early pick 4 with Dave Rodman as we go ahead to race number 3 in this maiden claiming 45, going 5.5 on the dirt for these 2-year-olds. Scratching the 4, Rocket Science. Let's talk about the number 3, Bernie the Star. Troy Singh, Angel Cruz, 4-1. Just always showing up. Just needs to get that win.
Yeah, I went 3-2 in here. Could have gone the other way, but upon further examination of the pace of the race, maybe I went to number 3, Bernie the Star, on top. Uncle Lino, runner, finished 3rd last time out behind Nola Boss and Creed's Vision. They were the 2 favorites in the race. He was sent up there from mid-pack in a pretty good size field of a dozen to contest the pace, make the pace, and contest it early. Then went on to run that half in 45, 4/5 of a second. Was down inside. That day, when you look back on December the 1st, all the races on December the 1st, there seemed to be a little bit of an outside kind of tilt to the track, and Bernie the Star was a little bit closer down to the inside, setting good fractions. So if he breaks today at 5.5 furlongs, he may be the speed of the speed and the one to catch. He ran with blinkers last out and blinkers today. That's a late announcement there. So he did have blinkers last out. If you're looking at your form or your program, you don't see the blinkers. So blinkers last and blinkers today. No blinkers last, no blinkers today for the 5 fast-talking man. Your horse, Daring Venture, had an adventurous kind of run and debut on October the 6th. Let's watch it right now, see what you think here. We're going to, first of all, he was reluctant to load in the gate. A little stubborn to get in there. But look at this move. Into the fire turn. He goes on with it like he just might win the thing, right? He went from 3rd to 1st between the 3/8 pole and the 5/16 pole. Down the stretch, he made the lead, a bit of a daylight advantage there, but was run down by Daring Venture. Continued willingly after the race on the gallop out as well. So not bad for a first out run for the colt by McLean's Music. Then last out, he was beaten as the favorite, but a big excuse in there. Stumbled badly at the start and was bumped in the race as well. Never really could get his act together in there. He's probably with a good break going to sit right off of Bernie the Star and try to hope him run him down just a little bit. Aikman's Audible, number 6, second time out for trainer Jamie Ness. The race came up a little bit slow. The winner Byred up with a 49, but certainly could improve second out. Number 7, Winning Trip, is an interesting horse. He got a little bit of play, less than 5-1 in a debut run behind one-man team who won the race by 6. He was rated back at the inside after showing some early speed and the play. His sire win is 24%. Dirt sprint 2-year-olds, very strong number for the sire. So it's second time out. He's going to be a square price in here. Probably the good double digits you see see you on the morning line.
Absolutely. 3267 for Dave Rodman there in race number 3. As we go ahead to race number 4, that starts the Rainbow Pick 6. We have a carryover that's going to be get on its way to 10 grand by the time we get to the first leg. And in that first leg, I do believe I go 2 deep as it starts this 3 deep as it starts the stakes action in the Howard and Sandra Bender Memorial, going 7 furlongs. Witty being my top selection there. Race number 5, I go 3 deep as well in the Politely with the number 7 Bourbon Bombay as my top selection there. Race number 6, I go 4 deep in that allowance optional 40. I was tempted to go further there. I think there's a slew of talent there in that field in that starter optional. Race number 7, we're back to stakes action here in the carousel, and I go with the number 3 Evidencias as my top selection for Christophe Clement, and in race number 8, 2 deep for our stakes action in the Bob T. Manfuso Stakes with Copper Tax being my top selection. And I could have gone 2 deep, but I didn't want to get too pricey of a ticket there. I would add the number 7 as well as the number 5 Fair Trade I put for my single $28.80 ticket, and it does begin here in the Howard and Sandra Bender Memorial Stakes, starting our stakes action here, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. No scratches here. Very talented, interesting field here. You go with the number 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at Celtic Contender back in the city of Laurel.
Feel loaded with Maryland breds here, right? And this is a good Maryland bred, Celtic Contender. A brutal duel in the city of Laurel Stakes, November the 30th. The opening quarter, 22-2, dueled. Half mile, 44-4. Neither one of these runners up top. Speediness nor Celtic Contender got a breather. You really hardly see this anymore, except in a top-level stake here in Maryland. And I tell you what, every Celtic Contender had every right to fold, but he did hang in there, driven to finish second. And here comes Winterfell on the outside from the Brittany Russell barn. His next start, going back to California, the Malibu Stakes, back to Baffert's barn. So the Celtic Contender, good effort. But he comes off a win, too, in the Maryland Million Sprint. Can he keep this momentum up, right? 2 wins, a second after a brutal duel. Can he break sharp again today and try to take them all the way? Looks like maybe speed in the spot, if he breaks and if he can repeat that race.
I have a completely different opinion, but if he does end up going that direction again in a stake, then as far as, any other speed angle, he does have that going for him. So 7's 11 might go. You definitely not seeing Witty out there on the outside. Brilliant Ice at this distance might be going for it again here today. So very interesting to see how they're going to be playing it.
7's 11. If he's the old 7's 11 we saw back 2023, late 2024, he could win this race, right? He could beat Celtic Contender. Very scared of him, right? Number 6, Play Like a Raven, could be the beneficiary of any kind of quick pace up front. I thought a very sneaky 4th place finish last time out behind Winterfell and Celtic Contender. We saw there in the video a few moments ago. He kind of finished with a little bit of interest there late, and he's a horse that's not afraid to run between horses. You remember that race back on July 14th, that allowance restricted race. We beat Bandit's Golden Child, Irish Warlock. Knife between was a short comment. And, for a horse who'd only been out 2-3 times, he ran like a pro, like a much older horse. So if he gets a good pace set up, is another 7-ace try. He's only tried 7-ace twice. Once on the sloppy track. He liked that. Today, the track fast, maybe a little bit of moisture in it, but not the slop that he had for that victory back 3 back. And I thought a good finish last time out. The 4 in here is Circle P. I kind of prefer him at 6 furlongs, but indeed, Celtic Contender, Play Like a Raven. They've met each other. Circle P's beaten Play Like a Raven before at 3/4 of a mile. A horse with a lot of talent, sprint-wise, and I think that's probably where they're going to keep him from now on. 7-ace, 6-ace. There's experiments around 2 turns back earlier this year, just didn't work out.
Right. Talking about Witty for Liz Merriman, Jamie Rodriguez, just kind of last time out, it was a bit of a wonky energy on the backside. I feel like we're going to be getting a really succinct ride here today. I like the outside post for him. I'm going to take a stab that he's going to come back from that 6.5 and come to the 7 in this nice fashion here. Dave Rodman 3-7-6 for the Howard and Sandra Bender Memorial to the Politely. And here in race number 5, going 3/4 of a mile on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Also starts that late pick 5. Also starts that late pick 5 ticket that Dave gives us, $36. No single. I kind of like it.
Well, yeah, no single. I'll get to that in a minute. The 5th race, I'm going to use the 4 and the 7 of the Politely, Sheila's War Cloud and Bourbon Bombay. And the 6th race, going 7 and 10 with price play, my value play of the day, which will be Kissed by an Angel. We'll have a stat on Joanne Schenkel in a moment. Number 10, Discreet Ops, a horse that's just been knocking on the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never quite gets there, but she's run some intriguing races. Maybe this one-turn mile will be just right for her. 7th race, going a little deeper. I like Malibu Beauty in that Carousel Stakes, but going to protect a bit with Evidencias and Movie Moxie. A couple of shippers there from New York. There's another one in there as well. So 8th race will go 4-5. The Manfuso Stakes. Copper Tax looks like the horse to beat. We'll show you video of this guy from Gary Capuano's barn later on. But where's the speed? It is speediness, right? If we see that track's playing really more to speed today after drawing out off track yesterday, muddy, speediness looks to be the speed of a speed, right? And numbers 2, 4, and 8 in the 9th race. I didn't use your single. The 5
You're fine.
in there.
That's fine.
Fair trade. You're going to have to give me that story in a bit. Right?
I will. That's an interesting race in our finale for sure. $36 for Dave Rodman on his late pick 5 ticket. We always have great pools for that, as I mentioned. Back to stakes action here from the Rainbow Pick 6 to the late pick 5 here in the Politely. 3/4 of a mile on the dirt for the girls 3 and up. Dave, you go with the number 4. Let's take a look. Sheila's War Cloud from the Maryland Million Distaff from the upper stretch onwards.
Yeah, Justin Nixon's got a few nice horses in his barn. One ran yesterday, just beaten, and so this is another one who I think she's really got a future. I'm looking for to her coming back into this sprint here from 7/8 of a mile. This is the Maryland Million Distaff, October the 12th. There she is, finishing with plenty of momentum behind Foxy Jr. Horse in really good form now from the Bernie Houghton barn, Penn National shipper. So that's the 7/8. This is 6. I think she's going to kick even better, going 6 furlongs today on the shorten up in the Politely Stakes. Off Lasix for the stake, doesn't need it though. She's won with Lasix, but she's run well without it. In fact, she broke her maiden without it at Colonial Downs in August. So 4, I'm going to use the 7 in here, Bourbon Bombay. At outside-inside trip, interesting run for the second off the layoff for the Bourbon Courage mare. Lightly raced, had some issues along the way from the Ned Allard barn. Nursed back to best. Sheila's War Cloud Spencerian beat her in the Maryland Million Distaff there we saw a few moments ago, but she rebounded back in the Willa on the move, was 4 wide in the turn. The rider kind of adeptly angered her over to the inside at the 3/8 and then made a nice move to finish second behind Ms. Beccaro, whose speed took them all the way in the Willa on the move after 22 145 and 1 fractions. Stats Race Lens, good stat for you. Stats Race Lens. 25% for Ned Allard, 3rd after the layoff, horses with blinkers. And he's done it with horses, quality horses like this, like a Dean Delivers, right? Remember that horse? So 25% and a positive ROI as well. So don't dismiss the fact that she ran well last time out, thinking she might bounce off of that. Here's a horse that began her career reeling off several straight, then a second, and then issues kept her on the sideline. 4, 7, 2, and 5. I'm using summer odds in there as kind of a sneaker in the exacta and the trifecta. I actually have her with a good number, but it's way back in March.
Yeah, but she's that effort last time out, that visually from what I saw and from what I remembered, this filly kind of potentially is on the upswing. Yes, it will be a challenge, but I think at a price of 30 to 1, you could throw in some real value there. 4, 7, 2, 5 for Dave Rodman there in the Politely Stakes. And before we get on to more stakes action, we will be having a commercial, and we will be right back after that commercial. And we are back in action here. Of course, our jackpot super high five is in race 6 and only race 6, 1 through 5, 15% takeout there. Also starts the beginning of the late pick 4. And this is a great this is a great jackpot race here. This allowance optional 40. I think a slew of talent here. You can go a couple of different directions for this mile effort for the girls 3 and up. Scratching the coupled entry of the 1A Divine Grace, the 3, and the 8 Ruda Kiss Me Hardy. You go with the number 7 Kiss by an Angel. Just missed this one off of my ticket for Joanne Schenkel. Angel Cruz, you have a nice special Dave Rodman stat for us.
Yeah, Joanne Schenkel trained Kissed by an Angel is going to be our stat of the day. Joanne Schenkel, the past 3 years, right, she hasn't really trained for, but what, maybe 2.5 years, something like that. So 3 years, 1 mile on the dirt, mile races on the dirt. She's 7 for 26, 27%.
Wow.
And a positive ROI, $4.42. So she can get fillies, bears, any kind of horse to run that one-turn mile, a very difficult run here at Laurel Park to the second wire finish. And this is a filly, I think, Kylie, is coming back into form. Won the Maryland Juvenile Filly back in 2023. Went down to Gulfstream Park in a sloppy track, was stakes placed there in the Glitter Woman early this year. Then she kind of tailed off, went a little bit off form, but her last 4 races have shown an indication that she's coming back, including that second place finish at a mile, September 28th, the beginning of her turnaround there behind Dazzling Move. Then she was 4th and 3rd behind Foxy Jr. And then last time out, beaten by Discreet Ops, was down inside that day. I think with a clear trip going the mile, the pace really got away from her in that spot, right? 22-2, 45-1. A little bit better scenario going to the mile, given the trainer's high stat there with that mile dirt run and a positive ROI. I'm going to go with her, thinking she's going to actually come back to her very best race today at a nice price. Kissed by an Angel with Angel.
There we go. I love that. Heavens all around there. Let's go to Discreet Ops for Benny Feliciano Jr. Gina Vello on the outside. Just missed in the safely kept going 7 furlong, stretching it out to the 1-turn mile here for the first time today.
If you're watching trips, you're watching that final furlong, you probably have this filly on your stable mail. I know she's on mine. She's had a little bit of tough luck in missing placings there in a couple of races like the Weather Vane and the Shine Again. She always comes rolling with her late effort. Never been the mile, but maybe the Army Mule, the breeding here, Frisian Fire, Discreet Cat Mare will come out. That extra furlong could help her. Made the lead at the 8th pole there after good fractions in the safely kept. Then beaten by Ronan Goddess, who came closing out there to the center of the track. So Discreet Ops, I think one more try today. Maybe she can get a clean trip, and that extra distance will help her out. Ms. Tart is kind of interesting here. She's a filly that's tried many surfaces, the synthetic, the turf. Now she's trying to prove she could do it on the dirt here at Laurel Park. First time in Brittany Russell's barn. Got some good numbers there at Churchill on the dirt behind Minx Palace. At least I had her with a good number. One that's good enough to compete in this spot. And also number 2, on-court commentator, a pace not to her liking. Last time out, October 27th, behind the lone lick of Red Hot Hannah, who dazzled that day. Beaten favorite, didn't have a lot to rally to, and the pace should be a little more to her suiting today. I really like the way she won here at a mile and an eighth. Even with a moderate pace up front, she wore horses down and won going away. Then a turf experiment, came back against a slow pace. She's going to be overlooked in this spot from the Brittany Russell barn. Brittany's got 2 in here, and they're both going to be 5-6 to 1 range.
And you know what? Those have been the kind of prices and numbers that have been winning for Brittany Russell as of late. So pay attention when you get a potential value on a Russell horse as we move on to the carousel here, going a mile and an eighth on the dirt for the girls 3 and up. Dave, you have the number 4 Malibu Beauty, looking to take them all the way around here for this mile and an eighth distance.
She needs a repeat of the Caesar's Wish to win, right? Tori Alba, perfect ride that day. 25 opening quarter, 49 half mile. Horses ran up to her. A horse ran up to her. She turned back the challenge there and then kicked again. She beat Saddle Up Jesse. She beat Evidencius. A couple of the rivals she'll face again this afternoon in the Carousel Stakes. I thought her last race on a muddy strip was very good. She's a Maryland bred here, and I think she could do it against some some open company after that third place finish. Loves to win. A dozen lifetime scores. Third on the muddy track behind Ms. Baquero. There you see Bourbon Bombay in the running line. We'll get to see her run earlier in the card, so put a feather in her cap if Bourbon Bombay can collect the big share today in an earlier stake. I like her maybe to go wire to wire this spot.
Yep. Okay, and I definitely that's going to have to be the way she ends up getting the job done. Let's talk about the New York ship-ins, though. Let's talk about Evidentius, who's on the inside, and then Movie Moxie. Let's take a look back when they were duking it out against each other back at Belmont at the Big A back in the 3rd of November.
Your top pick here, Evidentius, Movie Moxie. Not much between them by the time they hit the line. Evidentius had to angle out, was 2-3 path on the turn, and angling. Well, a nice relentless run down there. Gold cap on the outside, running down Movie Moxie, who kind of even paced it late. She's finally getting her act together here for trainer Christophe Clement, right?
Yep.
That was a good race. She tried Laurel once before. That was a third place finish. But again, it was behind Malibu Beauty and behind Saddle Up Jessie.
Okay.
Right?
All right, fine.
She doesn't have the
Dave.
kind of speed that Malibu Beauty does. So maybe kind of a repeat of that effort. Malibu Beauty in the winner's circle. Clement, a bit of a caution. Numbers pretty light at Laurel. For victories, but the wins that he's had here have been in stakes, right? So he often comes down. He means business in stakes.
Yeah, when it comes to stakes, this is one that you really need to pay attention to. Rodriguez and Clement teaming up well enough together here. Talking about Movie Moxie for Linda Rice and Jose Lezcano comes in and sticks for this filly. He's been on her for ever since February, and he's not leaving her side, which to me says something. Love the professionalism that we saw in the change-up from that November 3rd race to the Gopher Wand.
Yeah, and the Gopher Wand finishing third behind Tizzy in the Sky. But again, that video a few moments ago kind of made the lead there. Is she as fast, half mile, 3/4 as Malibu Beauty on her best day?
Well, that's the real question here, but she's proven at the distance at least. But I like the fact that you are just going with Malibu Beauty all the way here. 4, 3, 6, 7 as we go ahead to the Bob T. Manfuso Stakes here, going 1 mile and 16th on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Dave, you and I both have Copper Tax. He's going to be a heavy favorite. Let's go ahead and look at the Dickie Small.
This is a muddy track, November 29th in the Richard Small Stakes. I thought maybe the inside was okay, but maybe not the perfect place to be. You see Copper Tax had to work hard there, getting into the race around the far turn. And then there's not really an opening behind a trio of horses. So Torrealba makes the right move, just gradually taking it to the outside as they run to the quarter pole and past it now. And then maybe went to a little bit better footing toward the center of the track. Now, after toiling down inside there around the turn, had every right to just kind of one pace it, but really kind of kicked it in very late out in the center. And Elephant Seer there that gave a good run at a big price to finish second. Copper Tax. I've always liked this horse from way back, especially the James Lewis here at Laurel when he split rivals sprinting. He's a very versatile horse. He can win 2 turns, can win at 1 mile and an 1/8, mile and a 16th. He's going to be a really good sprinter, too. A lot of options for him. After that big race, Gary Capuanos told me he wants to get one more race stakes into him this year, and here it is. Here's his chance. But can he run down Speediness?
And that's going to be the thing, because Speediness, who's going to be the 2 on the inside, just the 4 on the inside that you have underneath, Jamie Ness, Jamie Rodriguez, all the, Ness played it very low-key upon this horse coming back off of that layoff and took an inside front-running trip. City of Laurel with Celtic Contender, who we saw earlier in that clip, that was just too much in that first. And we get back to the 2 turns for this one, from the 7/8 to the 2 turns back here for this 1 mile and an 1/8 distance.
Copper Tax beat him in the Tessio. Copper Tax beat him in the private terms. Copper Tax drubbed him in the mud sprinting at Delaware. So Copper Tax has beaten them, and they faced each other. But again, today, different stories, very quick, and we'll see how that. Maybe today is the day he can turn the tables here on Copper Tax. 5-4 1 and 2 in the 8th. That is the Manfuso.
There we go, and we'll go to the finale here in this maiden claiming 20,000, going 3/4 of a mile on the dirt for these 2-year-old fillies. Scratching the rail horse, who's the boss. Scratching the 3, Wine Snob. Dave, you have the number 4 on top. Got a opportunity. Hammy Smith with the blinkers on, as Tori Alba is on as well.
Yeah, blinkers go on today. And on a personal note, debut race October 26th. I kind of mark in my program. Blinker's a possibility. I thought he ran a little bit green in that spot, right? She certainly didn't have a lot of speed in that race, but I thought was just kind of taking it all in, looking around.
Yep.
Second out, no blinkers, muddy track behind Double Arrow. Back on a fast track today. Today, Hammy Smith adds the blinkers. Not a lot to beat in here, so I think with the blinkers on, you might see her actually show some more early foot and closer to any kind of pace today in the 9th. So got an opportunity, has that opportunity with the blinkers on at a decent price.
Also talk about, you go with the blinkers on with Can Do on the outside for Kieran McGee. It's Muriel Villalobos as well.
Finished 7th in debut. Blinkers go on today. Behind Bougie Bubbles, the race winner ran a 47 by her number, was forced out a bit at the start when she got bumped, then angled to the 5 path and never really kicked in with any kind of momentum after that, but a little bit of drop and a change of equipment, just like Great Opportunity. Could be a blinkers on exacta. Yeah, stranger things have happened, right?
Well, that's
Hot
right.
Boss, Tim Keefe Barn, a couple of decent numbers for her at around this level. Takes a little drop to the 25,000 today. And number 7, Estacada's an interesting horse stat-wise for Jamie Rodriguez and Antonio Machado. Now, the debut run numbers for the Machado barn, not stellar, but Jamie Rodriguez and Machado together are 16 for 60 in the last 5 years together, and a 27% win percentage and a positive ROI, $2.33. Was there a story here? The J-Rod, we got one for you. Estacada.
There we go.
Jamie, it's a jockey trainer combo stat special for you.
There we go. That's a very special stat there. Very, very interesting field here in the last. Dave Rodman, 4827. Let's go ahead to our lightning round to dive into those picks a little bit further. Let's start with your best bet of the day, Dave. In race number 3, Bernie the Star. Troy saying Angel Cruz at 4-1.
Okay, prompted an early pace and then drew off to 22-3, 45 and 4. Was down inside on a day that had a slight outside tilt to the track. I thought most of the winners, even some were inside, but had to angle out to get the job done. I mean, there really wasn't a horse that went all the way on the rail that day on December the 1st. So slight outside tilt there. Bernie the Star, perhaps speed of speed. Hoping for a good break.
There we go. Let's talk about the value play going a mile here in race number 6 on the number 7. 8-1 Kissed by an Angel. Joanne Schenkel also teaming up with Angel Cruz here.
Angel might get her wings back today. Coming back to best form. Maryland Miller Juvenile Filly winner. Kind of tailed off there August, September. But all of a sudden, in the last 3-4 races, has really come back into form. Behind Foxy Jr. a couple of times. Now stretching out to the mile. We saw earlier that stat for Joanne Schenkel going the mile on the dirt, positive ROI, strong numbers for a horse who has some back class to win.
And there we have it. Dave, thank you so much for joining us here on this Christmastide Stakes Day. And I'm going to get offset and let this guy do some more changes and scratches here for Saturday.